Hi, I'm Dr. Gina and I'm a mental health consultant. Did you know that you have two brains? Yes, everyone has two brains. One is inside the skull called, the head. The second brain is at the abdomen. I'm sure you didn't know that before, right? Yes, your stomach together with your intestines are now known as the second brain. You see, that's the beauty of science. Every day, new discoveries are made, obsolete ones are discarded. Yes, some people will begin to argue with me that the stomach and the intestines are only used for digesting and absorbing food and nutrients. That was the old teaching. Just stay put and hear me out and be informed. Yes, the stomach and the intestines are still functioning as the areas for digestion of food and absorption of nutrients. But recently, scientists have discovered that inside the intestines, there are live bacteria, different types of bacteria, known as the good and the bad bacteria, living there. They're living there. And the types of bacteria living in individual intestines vary from one person to another. Both the good and the bad bacteria can affect our mental health in positive or in the negative. Yes, these bacteria can be risk factors for someone to develop mental illness such as schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, autism, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorders, ADHD, etc. And they can determine how severe the illnesses will be. Now, these new discoveries are shocking. The type of bacteria living in our intestine will now determine if you will develop mental illness or if you will have a stable mental health. Just think about that. Now, these bacteria have a link, to the human central nervous system. This means that they have a link to the human brain. Now, this pathway to and fro the brain involves nerves, the immune system, and other organs in the body. This pathway is called the gut-brain axis. Now, we all know that the brain cells communicate with each other through chemicals that, known as neurotransmitters. I've mentioned this severally via, some of my other posts. And these neurotransmitters, are known as, let's say, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, glutamate, acetylcholine, and so forth. Now, it has been discovered that these neurotransmitters are not produced in the brain alone, but they're also produced by these gut bacteria. Now, these neurotransmitters produced in the intestines cannot actually enter directly into the brain due to what we call the blood-brain barrier. But through some complex systems involving the immune system, the vagus nerve, these neurotransmitters, produced by the intestinal bacteria, we get to the brain cells to either cause health or sickness. So if there are more of the bad bacteria in the intestines of the individual, then there can be a link to developing mental illness. For example, it has been shown that persons with autism have an increased level of bad bacteria called Clostridium in their intestine. And for those with depression and anxiety, they have the bad bacteria called Escherichia coli, that's the E. coli, Klebsiella, Streptococci, that's Sulfiburo, and Faecalibacterium in their intestines. Big word. But I know that many of you have heard of these words before. Now, some of these bad bacteria do not cause illness by production of neurotransmitters, but by causing inflammation that, will somehow get to the brain cells, destroying them. The mental illnesses occur when the bad bacteria are more than the good bacteria in the intestine. This is called dysbiosis. And I have mentioned at the beginning of this talk that different people have different types of bacteria in their intestines. Now, the type of bacteria that is in the intestine of the individual depends on what the person eats. Certain foods, like dietary fibers, dairy products, especially fermented ones without added sugars. Then we have the fruits like oranges, apples, and berries. Then we have the vegetables. We have the spices like turmeric, chili pepper, and herbs, including probiotics, can increase the good bacteria while they suppress the bad bacteria. African foods that support the growth of good bacteria in the gut include garri, fufu, amala, pap or ogi, owa, amasi and nono fermented milk, kenke, iru, dawa, guji, kunu, etc. Then all the leafy green vegetables like ugu, water leaf, bitter leaf, okra, and then beans. Then of course we have beans, including the akara, the moi moi. Then we have okpa, we have brown rice, we have millets, we have groundnuts, we have tiger nuts, and so forth. Then fresh palm wine is a probiotics, and so is drinking soap garri. I say fresh palm wine, no, I didn't say overnight palm wine. A probiotic is a supplement of food that contains good bacteria that are still alive. Now, when you soak garri and drink it, you gain all the good bacteria in it. Unlike when you use hot, boiling water to make the garri into eba. Using hot boiling water to make eba kills the good bacteria, but the fiber in the eba remains and is still beneficial to the good bacteria in the gut or in the intestine. Foods that can increase bad bacteria include all processed foods like fast foods, refined sugar, instant noodles, chips, pastries like cakes, biscuits, pies, and so forth. They have fried foods, excessively processed meat like suya, like kilishi, and so forth. Then all the forms of alcohol beverages. These tend to kill the good bacteria while it's allowing the bad bacteria to cause inflammation. Now, I will advise you to watch these videos severally so that you will be able to understand the information that I'm passing and be able to retain them. You may even want to save the video. I will also advise my followers on TikTok to look at my earlier videos that I made about Nigerian foods that that can fight depression. These are some of the Nigerian foods that can improve your mental health as a whole. I have also videos on my TikTok that that talked about junk foods which can affect your mental health, and I advise you to watch it. And I watch it very well so that you can know the type of food that can destroy your good bacteria in your intestine while promoting the growth of the bad bacteria that can harm your mental health. Now that you know that you have two brains, make sure that as you care for one, you're also taking care of the other. The two go hand in hand together. Like and share to your loved ones. And if you are not following me on TikTok, click the follow button. Thank you.